kid. I'm from Chas Avenue. We lived about 1 kilometer away from the current chief minister. I would like to first express my condolence to all the martyrs and offer my comfort to all the families and IDPs who had to leave their house. I'd like to share my experiences when we first left our home. To say that the violence had erupted on 3rd May, but the situation was already tensed in the night, already on the night of the 2nd May, because the May Day groups had already planned a counterattack on the peace rally that was supposed to be held the next day. Since we were living in Meitei Leikai, surrounded by various tribes in Imphal, I had a lot of Meitei friends as well, and there were status updates that were being updated about the situation, calling for all Tengols, the Meitei Lupuns, and all Kamloops to assemble and how they were going to impose the counterattack on the next day. On the 2nd of May as well, they had already rallied to Manipur University. The women folk of the Meitei Mera Paivi had already rallied to show their disapproval of the rally the next day. Early morning on the 3rd of May, my mother had gotten a call from a relative, my aunt, who had been taking care of her sick husband. He had just passed away on the same day, and she was asking us for help to arrange transportation back to the hometown on the border town of More. But since the situation had gotten so tense and all the roads were blocked, my mother had suggested that she waited until nightfall to transport the body or to call civil organizations to arrange the transportation. On the night, the whole locality was dim. Everybody had shut their lights, locked their doors, and everyone was pretending that we were not home. My aunt had called my mom again at around 11 saying that they were going to transport the body now. When they were on their way and they reached Singsamay, they were stopped by a mob of people and they shook the ambulance. There were 5 of them inside with 2 drivers. The 2 drivers had eventually fled away, and 5 of them, 3 women and 2 men, were there carrying the corpse. And the crowd had started pelting stones at them. They dragged them out of the ambulance and threatened to burn down the vehicle. So my aunt and her son-in-law had actually taken down the corpse and put it on the side of the road, and eventually the mob had burned down the vehicle. After that, they stripped one of the younger guy naked, and they started beating him up. When he was close to that, one of the people who were a part of the mob took him away under the guise that he was going to finish him off, and he eventually saved him. My aunt and her sister, they were taken by another shopkeeper, and they hid them away until the Assam Rifles arrived, and they were taken to the camp the next morning. Her daughter had stayed awake, stood outside of the house until the next morning, and eventually made her way to Hoketbang, which is also a very close neighborhood. And eventually she also came to join us in First Samar, where after Hoketbang had been burned down. On the night of 3rd May, I looked at all the status updates of my friends, and there was a general secretary of Manipur University. He had tried calling all of our classmates together to find Kuki-Zo students in Manipur University to kill them. As soon as I saw the video, I called up my friends and my sister's friends who were staying in the hostels, and I asked them to run away. But They couldn't. They were caught, they were beaten, and some of them even had to jump down from their hostel to save themselves and hit themselves in the drainage. While pretending that we were not there, you could hear the sound of the gangsis, and you could hear people, mocking us outside of our house. It was so silent that you couldn't even hear our own breaths. But even then, you could hear people pass by saying that the Gopi people were staying in this house as well. And we had to hold our breath, but we prepared ourselves that we were going to be attacked anytime, because in the nearby neighborhood of New Lambulan at that time, a house had been burned down. We tried calling for help. We tried to find people who could evacuate us at that time. We called the DCP, but they informed us that he was not there at that time in Imphal. So we prayed the whole night, and we just stayed and hoped that the day breaks. On the 4th of May, my mother informed me that about what happened to my aunt, and trying to hope that the same does not happen to us. My mom asked me to pack my belongings, but then I could not think about what to prioritize, so I just grabbed my dog and we tried to run away from the house. We tried to escape 3 different times. There was a large mob that was already forming at this time, and they were stopping everybody from passing through. Most of the students had come to the DGB house, and they were staying there because they believed that they would be safe there, but they were not safe there as well, because eventually the mob got to them, and they even the house of the DCP and the vehicles had been burned down. Upon trying to escape for the 3rd time, we were risking being seen by the mob 2 different times. My cousin had called me and told me to come out right away, because the army truck had come at the same time. So, risking everything, we came out to the main road, and thankfully there was an army, so there was a whole lot of mob. They were there shouting at us, cursing at us. Before we even got off the house, one of the people from the mob had come up to our house, checking our phones to make sure that we did not take any evidence of their misdeeds. But the video still went viral. The video that they took themselves still went viral, and you could see how they were treating us. Amongst the curses, we tried to make our way into the truck, but the truck was also full. We couldn't go there, so we had to find our own transportation. And most of the women, we were made to go first, and the men stayed behind. Amongst the chaos, I had gotten into one of a personal vehicle of one of our neighbor, and while driving away, I realized that I had left my little brother behind. And after I reached First Samar, I begged the army men to take me back because I had left my little brother. But they said that they couldn't risk going back again because the army was now, there were way too many people, and it was not safe for them to go back there. So we eventually reached there, and then later on in the night, we contacted an auto driver who had transported my dad and my brother to the refugee camp, where we met each other again. After staying there, we stayed there for 4 days because there was no way for us to reach Surechandpur safely. So we eventually had to come to Delhi and stayed here till then. 10 days after we came out here, we found out that one of my sisters we had left behind in our locality had been gang raped, and she had to save herself by rolling down a hill. The pain that we felt could not be compared. It wasn't even just the act, but the mockery that came from the other community, asking us to show proof that that happened. And even after the proof had been given to them, justification from the community saying that this is war and this is bound to happen. We cannot live together with these people again. We cannot go back. So I thank God that we made this far, and I thank God that my family is safe. But I put the whole blame on the chief minister and the state machinery on the violence that is happening till today.